Good morning, everyone. It's Thursday, the 4th of February, and today we are learning to manage shifts in tense. So, on the screen at the moment, you've got some sentences that require your editing skills. So, please pause the video here whilst you copy up the sentences and make the necessary corrections. I have gave you lots of suggestions to follow. I think the one that would work the best is hiding in their bag. How can you be put in a bag that they can't find? So pause the video here and complete that activity and press play once you're ready to see how you did. Okay, let's see how you got on. I have gave. So this is incorrect grammar here, and we want to use a present perfect verb. I have given. So give, given, and gave. It's irregular. So when it's present perfect, it's given. Sorry, that is a V there. Given. I have given you lots of suggestions. This lots, it doesn't need an apostrophe because it's not a contraction and it's not showing a possession either. It's just a plural, so we don't want our apostrophe there. I have given you lots of suggestions to follow. Now we actually have a full sentence here. It has a subject and a verb and expresses a full idea. I think the one that would work best is hiding in their bag is a second sentence. So there are two ways you could have fixed this one. You could have had a full stop. That would have worked fine. Or you could have used a conjunction. Now, I think the best suited conjunction here is but, because you are contrasting ideas. I've given you lots of suggestions, but I'm picking one out in particular. You could have had yet, or however, and they act similarly. So I've gone with but. I think the one that would work the best is hiding their bag. So this is the incorrect version of there. That relates to a location, and the there that we want is THEIR. Now with would, you may change this. I think will is a slightly better fit, although I don't think would sounds too bad here. But if you wanted to change the modal verb, then that's fine. The one that would work the best is hiding their bag. That expresses a full idea, so we absolutely do need a full stop now. There is no other option there. Then we have a capital letter for how. How can you be put in a bag that they can't find? Well, we missed out the apostrophe for cannot, can't. How can you be put in a bag that they can't find? We don't want a full stop, but we want a question mark because it is a question. So let me just read that through again just to see. I have given you lots of suggestions to follow, but I think the one that will work the best is hiding their bag. How can you be put in a bag that they can't find? Okay, if you did miss out any of those corrections, then please pause the video here. If you are ready to continue watching, then please carry on with the rest of the lesson. So in this lesson, we're going to be concluding the advice letter to Kit, and we need to draw together our conclusions and our suggestions by summarising them, then reassuring the reader that they are going to be successful or that they should feel better soon, and then to wish them good luck with the solutions that they are undertaking. And this paragraph relates to tense because you will potentially be using a range of different tenses in this paragraph as you move between the different steps. This can get quite tricky, and really it just depends on the way that you structured your paragraph and how and where you need to use certain tenses. So for example, past tense can be used perhaps nearer to the beginning of the paragraph. So it may refer back to the suggestions you've given and that you've read the letter, and it can include past perfect as well. Remember when we worked on this with, I've forgotten the unit, the first person narrative, past perfect is a had, something started in the past and ended in the past. So we've got examples here. When you wrote to me, you probably thought there was no hope. Obviously this is now past tense because we're hoping that by giving solutions that Kit will now think there is hope and not past tense. The second example, the last time your owner had put you in their bag, you decided enough was enough. So lots of past tense verbs there. And again, as I've said, this is more likely to go near the beginning of the letter, just before the summary in that red section. But don't feel like you have to use past tense today. It's just if it fits what you're writing. Present tense, so this one is likely to feature more in your writing, so you may anticipate how the reader is currently feeling. Maybe when you're giving a specific recommendation, how you feel about that recommendation as well, or be reminding them not to follow it unless necessary. And what's really helpful in this section is present perfect. This should have been something that you are familiar with from year 4. It's basically when you have used have in front of the verbs, have been, so have been. So here, I can imagine you have been feeling pretty glum about your situation. I'm pretty sure you have thought deeply. So just have in front of that verb makes it present perfect, something that started in the past and has continued to the present. So 2 other sentences which are just present tense. Hopefully you feel reassured by my advice. I bet you can't wait to get started. So this is more likely to feature than past tense, but these are just some examples of how you may want to use it. And then future tense. So this is going to be specifically used when you're referring to the next steps a reader is going to take, particularly when reassuring the reader as well. You will see immediate success. So they obviously need to act on the advice, and you're anticipating how that's going to impact them in the future, hence future tense. You are going to do brilliantly well. So it sounds confident. It's also preempting how things are going to go, so it's an appropriate tense to use there. And finally, the conditional tense. This one gets quite tricky to explain, but it is quite simple. It's basically when one thing is dependent on another thing to happen. One event is dependent on another. So for example, for Kit to change their life, they need to act on the solutions. So the success depends on the action there. You can also use conditional tense to anticipate if things don't go 100% brilliantly well for Kit, and you're preempting that they might need to come back to you for more advice. So if you begin your sentence with if, and then you have a modal verb, you've essentially created the conditional tense. We did use this in our review, and so you should remember it from then. So if you followed my advice carefully, you will see positive results soon. If you still have problems after 2 weeks, you must contact me. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, this is, I suppose, an optional one that you might want to use, but especially if you've not used many sentences with if so far, you might find that this one gives your work a little bit of variety, and it's just a nice one for you to slot in. And it's a subordinated conjunction as well, so it really does tick a lot of boxes if you want to use this one. And as I've said, some of you may not use past tense at all, some of you might and not have much future tense. It really just depends on how you want the paragraph to flow and what you want it to say, but just read it through carefully before you submit, just to make sure that where you've used the different tenses, it makes sense, okay? So then let's have a look at this model that we've got here. So there are quite a few tense shifts in this. So I wonder if you can spot where the different tenses have been used. So pause the video here and just have a look at this paragraph once again and see if you can find where those different tenses are. So let's see how we got on with that. So I hope you will. So this is future tense. You will take some of my suggestions on board. We're anticipating how in the model how the reader is going to take on the advice. Personally, I would, this is more present tense here, currently recommending a certain solution. On a more serious note, you must understand that this is, so it is currently an ongoing issue for pets at this time. It wasn't in the past, it's not in the future, it is going on right now, and that would reassure the reader in realizing that they're not alone. But I am sure you'll solve your problem soon. So I am, present tense, not I was sure but now I've changed my mind, or I will be sure, I am currently sure. You'll solve your problem soon, you will. And then you can see that shift in tense there as well. So a couple of little points. There's no past tense in this one, but as I've said, you're not expected to, but it's just nice if you can get variety in there. So now I'd like you to get a piece of paper and a pen to write with, please. You might want to download the vocabulary sheet before we proceed with the shared write. You might want to read it through, and then you've got ideas when we're writing, but you just need something to write with at this point. And please continue watching once you're ready to start with our shared write. So let's get started with this then. So we've got 4 steps in this one, although step 4 is actually incredibly easy to to use. You just basically say who it's from. So really a lot of the work is really in steps 1 and 2. Now with step 1, it does say summarize strategies, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to list all 3 of them again. If you want to, then you can. If you think that's going to produce a nice paragraph, then absolutely. But really, I think just you saying in conclusion or overall can work, but you don't have to use an opener either. You can just make a statement, well, here you go then, or well, there you have it, or some just sort of recognition that the advice is starting to end. You can just make a statement such as, I hope you find my advice helpful. I hope you found this letter useful. And then you can go into picking out a particular solution that you just want to mention again. But we'll come to that in just a second. Thinking about tenses, you could have past tense here with referring back to maybe thinking about how Kit would have felt when he'd written the letter. So when you wrote this letter, I imagine that you felt incredibly upset. Now with my strategies, I'm going to maybe give an example, you should be feeling better, and then you would give in your reassurance there. Or as soon as I opened your letter, I knew I needed to help you. Make sure to use solution, to help you there. And present tense can just be something like, I've given you lots of advice, but make sure to really use this step, for instance. So a few different ways of doing it. My strategies will bring you success, particularly, and then mention a certain step. So I'm going to just have a statement. So I hope you find my advice helpful. I hope you find my advice helpful, and you're feeling let's go more informal, much better about your. We could have dilemma. I might go for soon to be finished. No, do I want that? I hope you find my advice helpful and you're feeling much better about your dilemma. I'm quite happy with that as an introduction statement into this. It's informal. There's no fronted verbs, but we don't need one in every single section for every sentence. And now I want to pick out a particular step. So when it does say summary, you can pick out, you could say, just watch out for my 3rd step, or just watch out for giving them a present. You can name it if you want to, or you can just say the 3rd one because of XYZ. Or you might say, I'm really certain that my 1st one will work for you, or this step, when you do this, will give you instant results. So when we say summary, just pick out one that stands out and just explain it again, just to really reinforce what you're saying. So I'm going to go with, I think that my 1st solution should work for Kit. So I want to make sure I use that one. So again with I really is good at making just things sound more informal, a good adverb. I really think, or I'm really sure, I really think my 1st solution, you don't have to use first, you can, as I said, name the step. Mine is about squealing or making odd noises. So I really think that making bizarre noises will solve your problem. But I really think my 1st solution will fix your problem, or will give you instant results. Will help you in no time. Those phrases make it sound informal. So we can see here that I hope you find my advice, present tense, advice helpful, and you are, present tense, feeling much better about your dilemma. I really think my 1st solution will, future tense, give you instant results. So I've got mainly present and a bit of future tense in here now. So I've summarised my strategy. pretty much, I mentioned it. So now I'm going into my blue step here. So I want to reassure the reader again. So I want to make Kit feel maybe better, because Kit might still be quite upset by what's happened. Maybe reassuring Kit that Kit's made the right decision, because a lot of our suggestions have been quite drastic, and Kit might feel a bit guilty for instance, destroying his owner's bag or scratching him or her. And so I want to make Kit feel better that, you know, they're doing it for a good reason, and also reassure them that the advice will work. So you might want to go down any of those routes for this step. I'm going to reassure Kit that things will get better for him or her soon. So we could use the conditional tense here. Have not used that. So if, and maybe anticipating that Kit could feel guilty perhaps, or if the strategies don't work for Kit. So if my strategies don't work for you immediately, you must get in touch. Or if you do feel guilty about any of these methods, then you must remember you are doing the right thing. If you follow my advice carefully, you will see results really quickly, and that would be reassuring the reader as well. So let's go for the guilt. If you ever feel guilty for how you are treating your owner, if you feel guilty for how you're treating your owner, what do I put here? Comma, you. What modal verb would fit well here? So we're talking about if you'd ever feel guilty for how you're treating your owner. How urgent is it that Kit follows our advice? Well, I would say quite urgent, so I want to use must. You must remember that. And how can I finish this sentence here? You must remember that what? How can I make that sound conversational and chatty and reassuring? You must remember that what? That you're doing the right thing, that you're doing it for your own good, that you're doing it for everyone's happiness, perhaps. That you're doing the right thing. And then I want a full stop here. And I might not, I feel like I've not really reassured Kit as much as I could have done yet. So if you ever feel guilty of how you're treating your own, you must remember you're doing the right thing. And I really want to make Kit know that my advice is good advice and it will work. So I want to sound really positive, really upbeat with that. So what statement could I insert here? What would make Kit realise that it is going to work and things are going to get better? How could I say that in an informal and friendly way? Have a think now. Okay, so I wonder if, well, we could say it will, or it is, it will get better soon. And I don't just want a really short sentence, I want to make sure I'm using conjunctions here to make compound sentences. It will get better soon, and let me focus that now. Sorry, it will get better soon, and you'll be just fine. So referring to Kit's future happiness perhaps would be reassuring here. So things will get much better soon, and you'll be laughing about this as you sit basking in the sun on a summer's day or something like that, or and soon you'll be getting all of the cat treats in the world or something like that. So whatever you think would make Kit feel really optimistic and happy about the future. So then we have our message of good luck. So this one is really super short because there aren't too many ways of phrasing this, so it can just be good luck. And try and get a bit more imaginative. So you could think about you'll do great, another positive message here, or fingers crossed it all works out quickly. I wish you all the best, something like that. I think I want to sound really enthusiastic as I end this. You'll do You'll do great. Actually, I'm going to be a bit cheeky and use 2. You'll do great, and I wish you all the best. If you can't pick 1, pick 2. Why not? And then we just need our sign off. So we need to get a good balance with this. We don't want to go too informal. So like see you later, I think it's a little bit too far. But something like kind regards. I remember, I think it was last year, or was it the year before, and a pupil had a bit of a pun with regards, and I think they put kind remarks because you're writing from the point of view of a dog, and I found that quite amusing. So you can have a pun if you want to. It's entirely up to you. You can just have from if you want. Best wishes. I always sign my emails with many thanks. It's entirely up to you how you want to end that. Best wishes is quite friendly though, so I might go for best wishes. And that goes on a new line, and then you have a comma after it, and then you put your name, who you're writing it from, underneath. So in mine, I'm going to be, I probably should have left a space there. I'm not sure why I didn't. Sorry, I think it's thrown me off a bit having this new format. So Dave the dog is so sorry, there should be a space here, so I'll just put in to edit there some lines. If you don't want to be called Dave the dog, that's fine, but don't overthink it. It is just a name. But if you write it from the point of view of a dog, or you can make it a cat if you want to. But yeah, that's our paragraph. It's really quite nice and short. Not too many steps to follow. The green and the purple are really, really short. Really, all of your work goes in the red and the blue. And you can see how I've not used any past tense actually, which is fine, you don't have to, but there are ways that you can. If you just stay watching and look at the vocabulary sheet, then I'll point that out for you, and I'll show you the typed up version of this model as well. Okay, if you are feeling ready to start writing, then you can now, but please continue watching just to see me talk through the vocabulary sheet and the models available to you today. Okay. So we've got our model typed up here. So we've got our steps as well, and this is a typed up version, and then an awful lot of vocabulary that you can look through as well. So I've tried to break it up into sentence starters or parts of sentences in the different tenses. These aren't the only ways you can write in these tenses. This is again just a springboard for your own ideas. So you can see that for summarized strategies, you could potentially use 4 different types. I wouldn't certainly try and use all of them. Just go with what you think would be a nice paragraph. You've got the reassuring the reader. I must admit, I did struggle to think of any that would be past tense and would fit well. If you can think of one, then absolutely go for it as well. Don't feel restrained by what I've put on here. So present, future and conditional, and then message of good luck. Really simple, really. There's only so many ways you can wish good luck. I have included this though, fingers crossed or paws crossed, because you could have a few little acknowledgements that you are talking to a cat. I know that a writer in my class referred to cats having 9 lives, and I know that a few of you have been using those little references, and it's a nice way to include them. So I always like a good pun as well. So if you think about you'd be feline fine, and a little pun on that, or you'll be it's a very good idea, and so on. So if you're not sure, you can have a look at some cat puns, but don't feel like you need to include them if you don't want to. And then your sign off here. And so there are a few different options: a kind regards, from, many thanks, yours sincerely. Don't go too informal here. Just you don't need to really worry about it too much. And then a really, really short model here. Really just sticking to the steps. But don't feel like yours has to be this short. You just want to get a balance, really. You want to express your ideas and points clearly, obviously using a range of different sentence structures and make it engaging. So you just need to find that balance. So hopefully that is helpful, and that's obviously available for you to download if you haven't done so already. So really looking forward to seeing how we get on with these, and I'll be back again with you tomorrow, looking ahead to our next advice letter when you've got a few more options available to you. So very exciting. Take care, everyone. Have a lovely day.